Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 205. It is Monday. Here in Cincinnati, it is gorgeous. Another just beautiful day. I went for a run early this morning, and it was so crisp outside, maybe 60s, but it wasn't humid like it sometimes gets here in Cincinnati. It was just this incredible, beautiful June morning. It felt so good to be outside and stretching my legs and watching all the birds waking up and the neighborhood dogs barking as I went by. It's really, really pretty today. The sun is still shining, and yeah, we'll see. Today is a new moon in Gemini, which is going to be the topic of our pondering together. New moons. So I've talked about this before, probably many times, maybe more times than necessary, but I feel like it's always helpful to be reminded. As the moon has her cycle of energy, we as humans are impacted by her cycle because we are composed so much of water, and she runs the tides. So she sort of has some impact over our emotional journeys through the month. And as the moon makes her way through the astrological signs, it impacts our collective experience, which directly impacts our individual experience. And so I am not an astrologer to be able to give you all the specifics of what's happening right now. But there are many, many beautiful astrologers who you can tune into and read the descriptions about and look for guidance. Astromama locally is one of my favorites. So I would suggest tuning into that and reading some of the astrological guidance. What we're going to focus on here today is the energetic feeling of it, what it feels like to me as an individual and as part of a collective humanity when we reach another threshold of a new moon. So for me specifically, I have the Gemini sign as my ascendant. I'm Aquarius, Gemini, which means I have a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of stuff happening in my space. And I was inspired today to find the I Am Her Tribe reading for Gemini. I read the Aquarius one on my birthday this year, and it was just so beautiful to explain or to offer the vibration of what it feels like to be me through the words of Daniel Dobie's beautiful book. And so I'm going to do it again today because the Gemini sign is so impactful in my journey, and perhaps hearing these words will give you insight or inspiration into what this could be for the new moon ahead. And then we'll ponder some more together. Okay, Daniel Dobie. You can buy I Am Her Tribe anywhere worldwide, and I will put a link to that in the description or the comments. Here's what she writes about Gemini. Governed by expression and her unbridled curiosity, she greets each day with anticipation, eager to take on new roads with her childlike wonder. Your first kiss, the scent of lavender, she is twirling under the mother moon in crimson heels, a forget-me-not. An open palm reaching, she tucks away these treasured moments in her back pocket for safekeeping. She teaches us that when we do not explore different views, we deny ourselves the richness of growth and experience. So she chooses to answer the call for adventure and wander off into the open wilderness, the rebellion just outside the lines of what everyone else is doing. The unknown is where she comes alive, Her courage illuminates her own trails. Thank you for that incredible gift, Daniel Dovey. I love the last line. I love all of it, but perhaps the last line is a beautiful way for us to explore what is possible at this threshold or this transition of the new moon into a new lunar cycle. Her courage illuminates her own trails. What I have been exploring and feeling is the individual work that we are offered always to clarify what our truth is inside, and then practice, and improve and get better all the time at expressing that truth outward to our relationships, our communities, to the world, to the universe, to consciousness. What is it that we know inside of ourselves to be absolute, to be known, not questioned, but to be known about ourselves, and then how do we share that with others? And so Gemini is the sign that represents the air, the mind, the communication, the ways that we express ourselves. To me, it also holds the duality, the light and the dark, the yin and the yang, the physical and the non-physical. It's what some call the twin, right? The Gemini twin. So we are both. We are both sides. So as we sit here at a new moon in Gemini, there is the invitation to create some time for reflection, for pausing, for becoming really quiet and listening to what messages are coming from the very center of ourselves. I hosted a meditation yesterday that you can find the link to on Facebook in the Soulshine Tribe and on my own page. And the whole hour was a visualization process of finding, identifying that light that sits within each one of us, and feeling it and knowing it as true. And then expanding that light from within, allowing it to become bigger and more visible and brighter. And then feeling how as we do that, we radiate that light out everywhere. We become brighter, which then brightens everything around us. And so that illumination, this is what she says in the poem, her courage illuminates her own trails. When we are that still and quiet and we can feel the truth of our being, our consciousness, our light that is infinite, the soul that sits within us, and we have the courage to make that bigger, to expand it, to allow it to become brighter, we illuminate our own next steps, the messages of why are we here and what are we here to do and how are we going to do it and what is the path forward. That comes from inside. It comes from that knowing, that certainty. And when we trust that, when we have the courage to trust that, and the courage to say to others, I hear you, and also this is what I know. This is what I know, right? Even our voice drops. This is what I know. And when we know that and we stand firm in that and we express that out to other people, they are able to support our own expansion of our vision. They're able to step in and provide structural framework when we are describing what it is we are building or creating. Perhaps the perfect description or example of this new moon in Gemini energy that I'm describing would be the movie Field of Dreams. So I've received this message for, a couple weeks, because I'm preparing to host this first festival in August, and I've been receiving this message. Watch Field of Dreams. But I always thought it was for someone else. So I've probably told 4 or 5 people in the last couple weeks, you really should watch Field of Dreams. And then I realized, I think that's for me. So on Friday, Brad and I watched Field of Dreams after we ate dinner, and with Ryan for a little bit, but Ryan was like, this movie's an older one. And so off he went to do his thing. But we watched it, and I had forgotten. It's a movie I watched once or twice ages ago. I had forgotten the messages that were coming through, the voice that Kevin Costner's role was saying he heard. He heard a voice. He heard a voice, and it told him what to do, and he couldn't not obey the voice. And then how that voice guided him to gather all of these people together and then to build this baseball field. To build a field in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. And I love Iowa. I'm just saying, in the movie it was represented as the middle of nowhere. And then his little daughter saying to him, they will come. People will come because they want to be in the space and feel the sense of tranquility. I mean, these aren't her words, but this was the message of the movie. People will want to come and be in the space because something will happen and they will transform when they come to this space. And so everyone in the movie around Kevin Costner's character, they were all thinking he was crazy. Even his wife for a while was like, I can't support this. I don't understand. What are you doing? And then she would have an experience, or he would share another part of her experience, or they both had the same dream at one point, and then they were back in alignment, and she's his biggest cheerleader, and off he goes to listen to the voice telling him what to do next. He was so certain, so in alignment with what he was hearing and feeling inside of him. There's a great moment where James Earl Ray is in the little funny 70s van like you see in the hippie movies. He was sitting next to him in this little van. I want to call it like a VW van. I think that's what they were. And he turns to Kevin Costner. I can't remember the guy's name now, but he turned to him, the character, and he says, I have lost my passion. It is so good to see your passion. And I felt I had chills so many times watching that movie because I could feel how the person who wrote that movie was translating an experience they had had of, maybe it was that vision of the movie, but they had been translating this feeling inside of them and expressing it through the vehicle of a movie. And when they touched those moments of the field being open, the channel being open, and this download of some amazingness energetically coming through, I could feel it watching the movie all these years later. So, does it always end up with a happily ever after, like in the Field of Dreams movie? I don't know. I don't know what our lessons are that we're here to learn. I don't know that it's always going to be a perfect little bow that ties everything together. But what I receive as my own guidance, and what I was validated with in watching the movie Field of Dreams, is the adventure, the absolute adventure, is in learning how to listen, in learning how to interpret what the inner voice is saying to us. Going on the adventure of exploring and following the trail, right? Just like she says in the poem, the unknown is where she comes alive. Her courage illuminates her own trails. How good is that? I mean, how good is that? It sums it all up. We come alive when we are in these adventures of the human journey, and the soul can guide our path. Our soul, the inner voice inside of each of us. So that feels like the potential for this threshold we're moving through of the new moon in Gemini. So exciting, so exciting. And as we talk about Gemini, which is so much about communication and the mind, there are a few nuggets that I offer that will support you exploring this. So one is the meditation yesterday. It's all about identifying, finding that light within us, and then letting it get a little bigger, and then asking questions in that space of our own soul, of our own light. and having the mind partner with our soul, partner in the answers, and open the window for us to see something a little different. So that's available. If an hour is too long, if you're not an hour meditator, which let me tell you goes so quickly the way that we do meditation, it's energy work, so it's like time dissolves and an hour feels like 5 minutes. So good. Right after I finish this podcast, I'm going to record the new moon in Gemini meditation, which I do each month. So that's going to be, it's usually like 20-25 minute meditation. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I know it's going to be amazing because I can feel how good I feel inside right now. So all of that energy is going to go right into the meditation. And if you're a local, on Friday we have our New Moon Circle, which brings humans, souls in human bodies together in a physical space here at my home. And we exhale, we connect, and we talk, we reflect about our intentions, our dreams, what it is that we are calling towards us at this new moon threshold. It's so good. It's so much fun right now, and the energy feels really optimistic and supportive of us, clarifying what our trail looks like, clarifying what dreams we're moving towards, and then sharing them, expressing them, so that others can help support us as we make our way towards that next step. It's good stuff, my friends. It's really, really good stuff. So I invite you somewhere today, tomorrow, pause and be really still in whatever way feels good to you. Be really still with the new moon energy and allow the answers, the guidance to come from deep within, and then trust and act on whatever it is that you get as your own guidance. One more time. The unknown is where she comes alive. Her courage illuminates her own trails. Thank you, Danielle Dobie. Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me in aligning with the optimal health of your mind, body, spirit in the virtual community of Viv's Energy Gym. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.